Don't do illegal stuff is not a constitutional theory. Here's what your rights really mean on the side of the road. Hi, I'm Joel Chorny. I defend people in Arizona's criminal system. And before we dive in, let me be clear. Nothing in this video is legal advice. Every case is different, so if you're facing charges or have questions about your rights, talk to a qualified defense attorney where you live. This video is for general information and education only. So today I'm talking about consent searches, the myth of the nothing to hide mindset, and why due process is not a loophole. I'll give you exact words to use, what to expect after you refuse, and how to protect yourself if an officer searches anyway. So my client had heroin hidden in his car, and officers asked to search. And, at least according to the officers, he said yes. That one word turned a questionable stop into a clean conviction. No signed consent form, no clear audio. The officer testified that he consented, and the judge believed him. Here's the part that makes people mad. The lesson is not hide contraband better. The lesson is this: rights limit government power for everyone, even for people you don't like. If rights only belong to perfect citizens, they're not rights, they're privileges, and they disappear when the crowd gets angry. So people will say, just don't commit crimes. If only life were that tidy. Innocent people consent every day. Maybe a friend left something in the car. Maybe an officer misheard you. Maybe the search produces something arguable, like a crumb that tests hot or a pocket knife in a school zone. The Constitution is built for messy reality, not Instagram morality. This idea that consent isn't a shortcut, police are just doing their job. If an officer already has legal grounds to search, they don't need your permission. Asking for consent happens when the legal grounds are thin. That request is a test of your knowledge and your nerves. What you call a technicality, the law calls due process. Those rules stop government overreach before it swallows the innocent along with the guilty. Carve out exceptions for people you dislike, and you've left nothing strong enough to protect you. I've had many people say, well, where I grew up, saying no felt dangerous. I hear that. I represent immigrants, trauma survivors, regular people who learned that compliance keeps you safe. That conditioning is powerful. Uniforms, commanding tone, the flashing lights, it all makes a request feel like an order. Here's the legal truth. A request is not an order. You can say no to a search. You can ask for a lawyer. You can remain silent. The hard part isn't knowing it in theory. The hard part is saying it out loud while your heart hammers in your chest. Here are the lines. Say them calmly. Don't argue. Don't explain. Officer, I do not consent to any searches. I am invoking my right to remain silent. I want a lawyer. You say them once, and if questioning continues, you repeat them exactly. And if English isn't your first language, practice them in Spanish too. Señor oficial, no doy consentimiento para ninguna búsqueda. Estoy invocando mi derecho a permanecer en silencio. Quiero un abogado. You don't need to answer where you came from. You don't need to answer where you're going. You don't need to tell them what you had to drink or whether they can take a quick look. Provide your license, registration, insurance. Keep your hands visible. Be polite. Be brief. Let's take on the common follow-ups. Oh, but then they're going to bring the canine, the dog. Yeah, maybe. A dog sniff can be lawful if it doesn't prolong the stop unreasonably. That timing question is often where cases are won or lost. Your refusal preserves the issue. Your consent, however, destroys it. They'll detain me for a while. Let's talk about that. A stop can last long enough to handle the traffic business. Stretching it out to fish for evidence? That's its own legal problem. Your refusal keeps that argument alive. Arguing on the roadside does not. If the police search anyway, don't resist. Say the words again. Watch, breathe, remember the details like the badge numbers, the time, where you were parked, which compartments were opened, etc. If there's body cam, great. If not, your clear refusal on audio matters. Passengers don't have to answer either. They can say, I'm not answering questions. I do not consent to searches. If asked for a name, give your legal name. Then stop talking. It's true, at the border and at airports, there are different rules that apply. This video is about routine traffic stops with local or state police. Some people said, hey, your client had drugs. Case closed. Not so fast. Items in a shared car raise questions. Did the person know? Did they have control? Was it theirs? Family members borrow cars, passengers come and go. Consent collapses those questions. Refusal forces the state to prove its case with lawful evidence. I've had people say, well, I have nothing to hide. Of course they can go ahead and search. Sure, that's a choice. It's also a choice that makes everyone else less safe. When enough people waive rights, the culture shifts. Requests start to sound like orders. Judges treat consent as the default. Rights wither from disuse. So if you want a rule that keeps your family safe, be respectful, say no, because you're not hiding evil, you're protecting citizenship. If you remember one block, make it this. Keep your hands on the wheel. Say, Officer, here's my license, registration, and insurance. If asked to search, say, I do not consent to any searches. If questioned, say, I am invoking my right to remain silent. I want a lawyer. And then stop talking. Write it on a card in your glove box. Say it out loud now. Train your mouth before your nerves show up. Let me be clear. This isn't an attack on every officer or prosecutor. Plenty of officers do it right. Plenty of prosecutors care about fairness. Asking for consent is lawful, and so is refusing. Respect the people who serve and still insist that the rules be followed the same way for everyone. Do you need a signed consent form? No. Testimony can be enough. That's why refusal matters. What if you just stay silent? Silence can actually be used against you in some context. You need to say the words, I am invoking my right to remain silent, and then remain silent in order for you to actually be able to exercise your right to remain silent. Just staying silent won't be enough. Can an officer wedge a foot in the door? Sometimes the physical world outruns the legal one. Don't fight, state your refusal, let your lawyer fight later. Is it ever smart to talk? Not on the roadside. If you want to cooperate later, do it through counsel. I've had people say that they are glad that a guilty person consented and got convicted. And that view forgets something. Wrongful convictions don't announce themselves. They sneak in on shortcuts that feel righteous in the moment. If you can accept the innocent being convicted, you've accepted the very thing the Constitution was written to prevent. Look, here's the truth. Rights are not rewards for good behavior. They're limits on power. Use them or lose them. If this video helped you understand your rights, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon, and share the video with others so you don't miss future uploads and so other people can benefit from the important lessons that I'm imparting here. I post new content every week to help you stay informed and protected. Share this video with someone, like I said, who needs to hear it before the red and blue lights show up in their rear view. I'm Joel Chorny. Your rights matter. Protect them. Stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video.